Okay, good morning. Today is day 13 of making videos to prove crime presence and to share a day in the life of me as a schizophrenic and a human being. And like I say, schizophrenia is something that is an experience people have experienced for hundreds of years, and I think it's can be chalked up to dealings of organized political organizations with high technology. Perhaps they're even intertemporal, but I don't know. So intertemporal means time travel. So I just share my thoughts and show you that I am a fairly sane human being. Uh, it's New Year's today. Happy New Year for New Year's Eve. I got this new bookcase here for present because I've been uh, succeeding in my classes, and it was a Christmas present as well as a gift for uh, doing well in my classes for both the physical therapy aid and the library technology classes. I haven't really accomplished much in the last 15 years, but I was able to get back into things, and I actually have some brain damage, but I function pretty well with even with that. And as you can tell here, I kind of think slowly. I'm a little bit disorganized sometimes, but I can follow a straight line a little bit. And so we'll get going here today. Scarlett has a sticker machine, and this sticker machine is pretty cool. It burns into a piece of paper uh, a downloaded image from the internet or from your phone. And I don't have mine on me right now, but I created a picture of Old Man's Store in Scotland, and it's in black and white, and I can put the sticker anywhere. I use it as a bookmark or something. And you can do, she was doing little cats and stuff like that, so that was pretty cool. Uh, so that was something that we did yesterday. Oh, okay. So in my book, uh, War at the Speed of Light about directed energy weapons, and the author discusses how the laser, which was worked on in theoretically all the way back in 1912 or 1915 or something by Einstein. Uh, and there's a controversy throughout time about who gets credit for creating the laser, because there were all these different groups of people working on theoretics and application of a laser all throughout the world, all at the same time. And there was controversy about who should get credit for the laser and who has gotten credit for the laser, but I guess there was a guy named Towns who got the major credit for it. Uh, and I've heard of him before. I'm not really up on technology and stuff, so like a lot of people would probably know that right off the bat, or like whatever. Like Towns created the laser, but there was a bunch of other like Russian scientists and American scientists all over the place making lasers, and I think only one got the Nobel Prize for it. Okay, this since last New Year's, I have not had a drink. So this is sad and fun at the same time, because I don't have to worry about uh, things happening in the world. Like last year, there was an earthquake in Japan, and I think it was a retaliation for me drinking. So I decided I'm not going to drink anymore. So that's fun, but it's sad because I want to have a drink sometimes, but it's also silver lining, I suppose, is that I'll be a little healthier going into old age because I'm not sitting here drinking very much, and I don't have to worry about that aspect of what's it doing to me. And so, but I do miss the alcohol, like having a drink. There's something really magical about a bottle of alcohol. And I know it's gonna sound like it sounds bad, but it really is like the presentation, the idea that it's gonna what it's gonna make you feel like, the event that's gonna transpire around the well, not around the consumption, but like with the consumption in conjunction with it. And so it's just like it can help you relax. I kind of stopped drinking heavily for quite some time, and I what I was doing was just drinking like a little bit of whiskey on Fridays, and it was just kind of like very nice just to have like a little whiskey or having a beer out. You know, you go out to some place and you want a beer, and it's a fun thing to do. But as I'm hitting 40 here, it made sense to just get rid of it altogether. And I guess that's something that's a little magical piece that you get when you're younger. And as you get older, anyways, it kind of makes you sleepy. So uh, I don't need to get sleepy. And now I have my fake whiskey. I'm gonna drink some of that tonight. But for people that are gonna drink alcohol, good. I hope you have fun. And so happy New Year's and have a good time. Ledecky's mom met her dad at a party in D.C. and in the Katie Ledecky book, she's talking about her mom and how her mom met her dad at a party in D.C. and they both hit it off while watching the World Series together at the party. But as Katie Ledecky tells it, her mom was actually relieved when the dad pulled out a business card because she thought he would never call because she thought he would be too nervous, and she was relieved, like, oh, thank God he won't call me. But apparently he did call about a week later, and they actually had a tennis match on their second date. So that was a little story in the Katie Ledecky book. But Katie Ledecky tells it that without her mom getting involved in swimming because of Title IX, Katie Ledecky probably would have never gotten involved in swimming. And Katie Ledecky herself, because of Title IX, without Title IX, she probably wouldn't succeed in swimming, and we wouldn't have Katie Ledecky today. So Title IX, yeah, that's just a little uh, endorsement of Title IX from a decorated swimmer. Uh, Mcconaughey. Oh, in Mcconaughey's book I'm reading, and he talks about how the idea that everything is part of a plan. Like everything that happens in your life or in the world is part of a plan. And he's talking about his green lights. And the idea is that you get little green lights that are yeses and goes throughout time in your life. And sometimes the yellows and the reds are even disguised greens. And because they push you in a certain direction or something. And sometimes, you know, you get green lights and it's all a matter of time and place. You know, you work towards the green light, you want the green light, or it's all his ideas and stuff in his book, so you have to read the book. But in any event, he talks about how he thinks that everything is all garnered up to a plan. And I had started thinking, like, I don't know about that because there's so much suffering in the world, and it's a little crazy to think like my life worked out well, so everything happens in a plan, you know? And there's just so much tragedy in the world that I don't think it's all a master plan. And then I think that this is where I get into like the psycho aspect of God and the Gnostic idea that the physical reality we're in is part of a psycho God's creation. And I start thinking like, no, you know, like uh if everything happens as according to a plan, then the plan is psychotic. And because you know there's plenty of beautiful things that happen because of tragedy or in relation to tragedy, but you don't need tragedy to create beautiful things. And then if if you're going to argue that you do need tragedy to create beautiful things, then I would argue, like, well, then the God, the being that created, or the intelligent design that this is all part of, is a little bit nuts. But then you get into McConaughey, and like you start thinking, like, okay, uh, maybe there is some sort of design, and maybe this is all a simulation of some kind or something, and there is some sort of intelligent rationale by a being. But for me, it's just like, if I take that rationale by the being, I'm looking at it from my rationale, and my rationale tells me, now some of this stuff is so messed up that I'm sorry, I don't like it. I don't like to think of it as, I don't endorse the plan that you created. Yeah. But that's a nice thought to have as you go through life, to see like, as part of a plan or whatever. It's like a little blankie that we have, and it kind of takes away free will a little bit to me, and the idea of free will, and there's a little bit of a contradiction there in certain religions about like the idea that we have free will and yet everything's part of a plan. And this is actually something that's being studied in science right now at major universities, and there's major academics that are saying like free will isn't even real. And I don't know if I believe that, but then you take it into the brain control and everything that's going on, and you think like, well, how long has brain control been on the Earth? Potentially intergalactic. Are we just controlled little robots here on Earth? I don't know. So as I was reading the Matthew McConaughey book, I picked up my other book by Yuval Noah Harari, which is Homo Deus, and it's a brief history of tomorrow. And he's in there talking about epidemics and the idea that we're going to have another epidemic by 2050. And I don't know if he wrote that book before COVID. I just picked it up now. But he was talking about AIDS, and he uses the phrase AIDS was not something that is can be chalked up to misfortune, like the people that died of AIDS all over Africa or all over the world. It wasn't because of some fortune, you know. And I actually agree with that. I don't. That's just an example of McConaughey's idea that it's all part of a plan. Are you telling me all these people that died of AIDS, it was all because of some fortune? And I don't know if I can reconcile that in my mind. But I understand that people think it's, you know, it, the idea that it all makes sense, that life makes sense. And so I don't want to take that away from anybody or dismiss it out of hand like, oh, it's a stupid idea. It's not a stupid idea, but to me, I can't reconcile it with my mind. So the only way I reconcile it with my mind is that the plan was created by someone that's psychotic. And so, but any event, New Year's is happening today, and maybe we can have a non-psychotic new year going forward. Okay, I'm just doing these every day, so unfortunately, this was the topic today on New Year's Eve. But okay, thank you. Bye.